Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Caloyeras Center, I'm thrilled to welcome Professor Kyriakidis. He's our new visiting scholar for the year. And we're very excited to have his first presentation about Greece as a pillar of stability in the Mediterranean and beyond. I would like to introduce him, tell you a little more about his background. He holds a PhD in International and European Studies from the University of Macedonia in Greece, which was completed with honors under a scholarship from the Greek State Scholarship Foundation. He also holds graduate degrees in global politics and political science from the University of Sheffield and the University of Southampton in the UK. And before joining the Caloyeras Center, Dr. Kyriakidis taught at the Department of Political Sciences at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, the Department of International and European Studies at the University of Macedonia, as well as the European Law and Governance School of the European Public Law Organization. His research experience includes positions as a postdoctoral researcher at the Louis University in Rome and at the Hellenic Foundation for European and Foreign Policy. His contributions to multiple research projects have been funded by the European Union and the University of Macedonia, and his research and teaching interests center on EU politics and constitutional law, Greek politics and law, the US political and legal system, international relations, and international political economy. So we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
I am a political scientist by education and also by trade. And so the title of my lecture today is Greece as a Pillar of Stability in the Mediterranean and Beyond, Perspectives and Prospects. And I thought long and hard about how I should start, and every good social scientist, including political scientists, would start with one of my professor's favorite terms in my undergraduate education, with operationalizing the terms of the topic. So I thought that's a good way to start. So let's take one term of the topic at a time, and let's see what it means really to start addressing whether or not, and if so, how, Greece is a pillar of stability in the Mediterranean and beyond. So first of all, what do we mean by Greece? What is Greece? This actually happens to be one of the most important contributions, one of many important contributions of Greece to Western civilization. We talk in political science about the difference between a nation and a state. A state is an administrative organization, but a nation is a set, a number of people characterized that have common characteristics. And what are those common characteristics? Herodotus was the first one to describe that. He tells of a story when during the Persian Wars, the Persians were attacking ancient Greece, and the Greeks, although separated to city-states, had an overall idea of what a Greek nation is. And so the Spartans send messengers to the Athenians because they are afraid the Athenians will betray them and will become allies with the Persians. And the Athenians respond to the Spartans' messengers, that you should not be afraid. Why? Because all of us Greeks share in certain characteristics. We share common blood, we share common language, we share common religion, and we share common customs. And that's by and large the definition of a nation that has lasted up until today. What is stability? Now that's a very interesting term. It's used across different disciplines. Right, you have physics, mathematics, chemistry, economics, you have ecology, you have game theory, and obviously you have international relations and politics. What does it mean to be stable? The most apt and subject-free description of stability involves three elements. All right. The first element is constancy. All right. That means that something remains unchanged or minimally changes throughout time. The second element is robustness. What does it mean for something to be robust? It is the tendency of a system to remain unchanged to perturbations. okay, to different changes. And the last element is resilience, which means the tendency of the system to recover back to its original position after it has been faced with perturbation. So let's see if Greece, throughout its history, and particularly today, has created and implements a set of systems and ideals that would qualify as stable. Okay. Now, in terms of history, very briefly, obviously most of you, or if not all of you, are aware, Greeks invented philosophy, invented politics, and so on and so forth. But what they really invented was critical inquiry. Okay, that's the whole point. They asked two very important questions. The first one was why, and the second one was how. Right, let me give you an example. For example, we say that the Greeks did a lot of work in terms of law. The first type of work related to law that we can recognize today. Did they invent law? No. Law existed, specifically criminal law, long before the ancient Greeks. What did the ancient Greeks add to that? The ancient Greeks were the first to ask, what is a law? Why do we have laws? The Code of Hammurabi, which is the oldest known law to men, was just a set of criminal provisions and punishments. Right? But no one had bothered to ask why. All right. And why we should have this system of written codes. And after answering the why, no one even bothered to ask, how should we make this better? What should a good law be? Right. And if I mention some of the elements, you know, it's questionable whether we have good laws today by those standards as well, but they are good standards. Okay. Look at politics. Okay. I'm going to mention democracy. Now, I will say for the record, the two major philosophers in Greece, Plato and Aristotle, had questionable opinions when it comes to democracy the way we have it today. For different reasons, they did not consider the system that we have today as ideal. They considered it as subject to many faults. However, the way we implement democracy today, the major part that we emphasize is civic engagement. Now, I'm pretty sure you all have heard the word idiot. Okay, the word idiot is a Greek word, no surprise so far. But what did it mean in Greece? In Greek, idiot means a private person. Right. So why do English-speaking cultures have a negative connotation to idiot? They actually maintain the ancient Greek negative connotation to idiot. Okay, idiot, a private person, was someone who was not engaging in the politics of the city-state. And that was considered of the utmost importance. It was an obligation. Whoever did not participate was shunned. And so the word idiot moved, and the connotation moved with it as well. That is why the word idiot today has a negative connotation in English-speaking cultures. Okay. All these examples demonstrate that Greeks attempted to create a system of critical inquiry. Why is that stable? Because it was aimed at addressing the fundamental human need of explaining, and it was also based on the fact that society should evolve into something better. Why and how we can make it better. Let's look at Greece's history in terms of geopolitical issues. Okay, Greece constituted the frontier of the West not once, not twice, but 3 times throughout its history. The first was during the Persian Wars. The development of Western Europe was by and large possible because Greeks stopped the Persians from expanding throughout the rest of Europe. The Persians and the Greeks had fundamentally different perceptions about how society should be organized. Because the Greeks stopped them then, Western civilization developed the way it was developed today. Otherwise it would have been developed, but under a different cultural paradigm. Okay, the Greek Revolution, the second part. Okay, there was a specific reasoning behind the support of Western powers of the Greek Revolution. One of the reasons, the geopolitical reason, was to put it very bluntly, poke a hole in the middle of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was always in contest with the then primarily three Western powers. Okay. And that was the reason, because the Greeks fought so vehemently against the Ottoman Empire in favor of their own independence, it was a large part of the reason why Europe was able to avoid further expansion of the Ottomans to the west. And the third and perhaps most important is during World War II. The attack of the Italians on the Greeks on behalf of the Axis against the Greeks, those battles, the Greeks not only pushed the Italians back, but also went into the territory that is now Albania and had been conquered by the Italians. That's the first win of any Western power against the Axis. The first win from a country that fought with equipment left from World War I. Okay? So that's pretty amazing. My grandfather actually fought and got a medal in the Italian front. Okay, they were fighting with holes in their shoes, all right, and with barely anything. Greece, again, was always a part of the West. It's one of the founding members of the United Nations, as many of you may know. Where are we today? Greece went through different periods of intense instability. Some of the most recent ones that I have gone through as well is the financial crisis of the late 2000s, the immigration crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic. And these crises had considerable impact on Greece. During the Eurozone crisis, more than approximately a quarter of a million young people, highly educated, left the country. Greece had an unemployment rate of 25%. That means 1 out of 4 people was out of work. Okay, entirely out of work, not counting part-time work. In young people, that's 16 to 25, that rate was 50%. 1 in 2 young people was unemployed in 2014. Okay, and that had devastating consequences for the country. Did the country veer towards the right, especially after the immigration crisis, with more than 1 million, primarily illegal, but also legal immigrants coming into Greece in a country where the population is 10 million people? Did the country veer to the right? Yes, but it never veered so far to the right as to negate democracy. Democracy in Greece survived the Eurozone crisis, survived the immigration crisis, survived the rise of extreme right parties. Was it there? Yes, it was there, but it survived. And the duration that these challenges existed was only for a little while. Why? Because in 10 years, from 2014 to 2024, more than 300,000 Greeks have returned back, young Greeks have returned back to their country. The unemployment rate has been reduced by half within 10 years. Okay, there are other achievements that further solidify and justify the fact that Greece is a pillar of stability when it comes to its internal structure. Modernization, huge infrastructure works, especially in my hometown of Thessaloniki. Digitization. Everything that you can do in Greece, you can do it digitally. You don't for the most part, you don't have to go anywhere. Birth certificates, you can get them digitally. You literally don't have to move from your chair. All right. The judicial system, the executive, the legislative, they have all remained stable throughout this process. facing their challenges, yes, but they have remained stable. How about geopolitically today? Where are we today with Greece? Well, there have been very, very interesting developments. One of the most interesting concerns energy. Okay, Greece has been turned into a huge energy hub. Just today, an agreement was signed between Greece, the United States, and Ukraine for Greece to be a liquid natural gas hub through which liquid natural gas from the United States could be moved to Ukraine. Both throughout history, but also today, Greece, with its role as a frontier of the West in a very, very difficult and challenging area, both to the south and to the north, has remained steadfast both internally and externally, has remained resilient and stable, and has tried to build networks that promote that stability in the wider area. Now, before I finish my speech, or rather, I would like to finish my speech with a few thanks. First of all, I would like to thank the Basil P. Caloyeras Center for Modern Greek Studies of LMU, under which I am here, and Nazreen specifically as well. The Consulate General of Greece, obviously, for their support, and Consul General Valasopoulou, and specifically, Christina, I want you to come back up here. I would like to say something specific for Christina Bogdanou, the director of the center. Come here, come here. No, I want you to come here. Okay. She's literally the reason that I am here, through a very immense effort, and that I get the chance to offer whatever it is that I have to offer to the greater LMU and Greek NLA community as well. And I would like to say, because I've become more and more familiar with the work of the center as I am here, I would like to also thank her for doing an amazing job. In my book, she has managed to use the most efficiently, but also the most innovatively, all the resources of the center, which are, of course, based also strongly in the Greek and broader lay community as well, which I think... So thank you for that.
I would like to thank the community, because without the support of the community that came together to provide the funds to bring Alexandros Kyriakidis here, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I want to thank all of you, and I hope that we will be able to keep him with your support.